you a student, mentor, or parent that loves robotics? Then you're in the right place. Up-to-date info on all things robotics. This is the Robozone podcast with your host, Pete Ekman. The Robozone podcast is brought to you by Kettering University. It's a Kettering-built world.
Hello and welcome to the 33rd episode of the Robozone podcast. This podcast is for Tuesday, September 26th. In this episode, we talk about the RoboDay at Ferris State University here in Michigan. We also talk about Relic Recovery. Finally, when all of our guests sign out, they tell us what they think Power-Up's all going to be all about. So, grab your popcorn, grab your favorite drink, get ready for the episode, and let's get to the interviews. Hi, this is Pete Ekman with the Robozone podcast. With me tonight, I have the largest interview staff that I've had on any podcast out of 33. This is 33. So the largest amount of people to interview. What we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about the big event that was at Ferris State here in Michigan over the weekend, including RoboDay. And then I have a young lady from Notre Dame, and we're now holding that against her, but I was joking with her earlier. We're going to talk about Relic Recovery, and then we'll get some insight. And so we'll start with you, Alex. Introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
So my name is Alex Fera. I'm one of the FTAs for FRC for Person Michigan, as well as the lead FTA for FTC in Michigan. So I'll be able to help out with both those conversations that we're going to have. I was the FTA at RoboDay that happened this past weekend, as well as with FTC, I'm helping to develop the scoring system changes that are going on, as well as the Orange Alliance, which we talked about a few weeks ago on here.
Okay. Next, we have Andrew Spiece.
How you doing? My name is Andrew Spiece. I'm formerly the team leader of Trucktown Thunder Robotics out of Brandon High School. I am now the programming mentor of FRC Team 5114. I do some game announcing on the side, some emceeing here and there. I noticed Scott coughing. I also I recently got a new job working for TEALS, funded with Microsoft Philanthropies, starting computer science programs in high schools.
Nice. Next up, we have the coughing mentor from Frigbots, that's Scott Stap.
It's because it's so cold in here. Scott Stap, Team 5084.
Scott, it's 93 degrees outside in Michigan in the end of September. You can't complain, okay?
Oh, man, it felt so perfect over there at Ferris, too, because we were sitting inside the ice arena. It felt like home. It was home.
The next person we have up tonight is Jacob Russell. Jacob, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Hi, guys. I was one of two event coordinators for the Ferris State RoboDay. I am a previous mentor for 5162 and 5448. I am now a mentor for 6117 for all in FRC.
Next up, we have Victoria.
Hi, my name is Victoria Funke. I am a first alumni of Team 2137 Torque. I'm currently mentoring Team 5162 in Big Rapids, and I am the current president of the first Robotics RSO here at Ferris State University. Nice. I was also the one that opened my big mouth to get the event started.
Ah, nice. So, Michelle, you're finally up.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I am a first alum of FRC 2959. I moved down to Notre Dame, Indiana to go to school at St. Mary's College, which is Notre Dame's sister school. And I got myself into mentoring FRC 5484, and I started FTC 12014, the Firewires, and I'm currently the head coach.
We're going to have a very interesting conversation between myself and Michelle and a little bit about Relic Recovery, right? So let's first talk about the big event at Ferris State. So this was the very first event at Ferris State that...
Correct.
Correct? Okay, good.
First FRC event, actually.
There we go. First FRC event. Andrew's used to correcting me, so I'm used to hearing Andrew's voice. Sometimes I get things wrong. So, Victoria, how about you? Yeah. Tell us a little bit how you got this thing started, and then we'll reflect with Jacob to get the other half.
So, after elections at the end of first semester for the new e-board for the RSO, all of us shadowed our following positions. So I ended up shadowing Jacob second semester, and that involved going to meetings with the provost in academic affairs, along with some higher ups in the College of Engineering Technology. And at one of our meetings, we were talking about how we could get Ferris more involved, along with promoting First or promoting Ferris. And so I decided to say, hey, what if we hosted an off-season event? That way teams would come here, not only be able to see the college, but also the college could see what First is about. But soon after that meeting, Jacob and Professor Leatherman, our academic advisor, looked at me and said, Tori, do you know what you just did?
Okay, Jacob, let's get the other half of that one.
So, like Tori mentioned at the beginning of her statement, she shadowed me at the very beginning. So I was actually one of the founding members of the RSO at Ferris State University, and also got the ball rolling for.
So I think I can speak to kind of how the process went together. Like the RSO was an awesome student organization. Is what I found out from this event this past event. I got to serve. I think they got in there like, you know what? I think we better bring somebody in that has actually helped plan an event before. Mm-hmm. So they called me, and I'm like, okay, sure, why not? So I started getting in their meetings, and I saw the enthusiasm of these great kids, like college kids wanting to give back. So not only did you have like this inspiration of new people, or this inspiration of having this event at Ferris and these college students coming together to put out this great event, you also had teams from all over the state, some of the best teams in the state, send their robot, right, to say, hey, go ahead and drive our robot and have fun with it. Right? Like that's...
Can you guys hear me?
That's just unbelievable.
Yes, we can, Jacob.
I switched.
All right, Jacob. I kind of took over for you, brother.
You filled us out a little bit on who the teams were, right? So,
yep.
What was your experience with it? Let's go from that. Let's go from that aspect. What was your experience? How did you feel it went?
The event?
Yeah.
So, I feel the event went pretty well. We had a couple of hiccups since most of our staff was still fairly new to running an event. Our only comebacks for other event running were Alex Fera and Andrew Spiece. And then we had Brian Hess as a field supervisor.
Okay.
So the rest of us were all pretty new at running an event. So it kind of was a big stepping stone for a lot of us. So there's a lot of rookie mistakes, I would say. But I feel we came back pretty well with it. There was a couple of issues that we were able to take care of. But all in all, other than Mother Nature, it went pretty well.
What do you mean by Mother Nature? Fill us in on that aspect.
About 90 degrees outside, then being about 10 to 20 degrees hotter inside the event.
Oh, so you mean it was like a sauna?
Yeah. Or as Scott was saying, us hanging out a lot in the hockey rink, which that hockey rink is probably the savior of our event.
There's nothing like eating ice cream in a hockey rink on a 100-degree day.
So we got a little bit of
the Cadillac for the ice cream.
I wonder how much extra they sold because the robotics event was there. No.
Cadillac actually gave ice cream to the volunteers.
Oh, nice.
That was cool.
Nice. So Alex,
that was really cool.
Alex, I'll start off with you because I want to see how you felt about it. But I'm going to be honest with you. I was severely hurt personally that you didn't show up for Kettering Week 1 or Kettering kickoff on Friday when I was DJing.
You did.
Because we gave so
I was there.
We gave so much crap to was it Kyle?
Kyle. Yeah.
We gave crap to Kyle, and he was there next to me the whole time, and you weren't there. So.
Hey, I came on Saturday. It's not my fault.
That doesn't matter. I wasn't there Saturday. So, how do you think the event went, Alex?
So for it being the very first time, I think it went really well for the first time event. Like we said before, probably the biggest thing was the heat, which is one of those things where we did the best we could, and on top of that, it's not normally 90-some degrees at the end of September.
This is true.
So I'm hoping that when we do it next year, if we have the same dates, that we don't have the 100-plus gym, that we can actually have some normal weather, like around 70. I'll even take 70, 60 degrees. So that was that was probably the biggest thing that I know was probably driving a lot of people to want to try and go through this as fast as possible. Whereas with normal weather, we can take our time and actually we can take our time on doing everything and not have to worry about how can we get out of this warm weather as fast as possible. But anyway, with the gym being so hot, it drains a lot out of the volunteers, especially in the motivation front. But if it was a lot colder, it would be a lot more bearable for people. But it was only like that for a few hours, so as it started to cool off, it started to get way better. But again, it's one of those things where it's like, what can you do other than try and get a lot more fans and make sure everyone's drinking water?
So Scott, tell us a little bit. I got a question for you about the event, and then you can tell me how you felt about it, okay? So did any robots overheat?
I didn't see any overheating robots. We kept everything, running there pretty good. I know the field techs were right on the job, but these were highly experienced robots. We did see, there were two robots over by the door in front of the fans. I did hear one kid say, hey, we put the robot in front of the door to cool it off. So there was some cooling action going on, but I don't think anything overheated on the field.
And I think a few robots actually brought their robots into the ice rink to cool them off between some of the
yeah. There again, we had our pit cooler going, and there was a little bit of a line at sometimes.
Maybe next year as an added, attraction, you go to put all the robots on the ice and see how they do. Just saying.
There was more than one person saying they wanted to put the airships out on the ice and see how the competition would go.
Almost every other question I got was, why weren't we doing this on the ice?
It would have been awesome. That would have.
I think we were going to put the airships on the ice, put all the volunteers in the airship, and then all the students were going to throw things at them and play target practice. I think it was something along those lines. I thought we
were putting you up there, Andrew.
I'm the biggest target.
But it's kind of a once in a lifetime kind of deal, things should be back to normal next year.
Well, who knows?
We had an excellent time. We drove a little over 2 hours to get there, and we're sitting there going, man, we came so far, and then the Martians are sitting there going, yeah, we came farther than you.
Yeah, by a decent amount.
Yeah, they actually won a prize for coming the furthest distance. And the prizes were awesome. Instead of, going up there and getting your little award, to put on the shelf with the 30 billion other ones you've got up there, you got a battery, or you got a battery beak, or you got, I don't know what the other
microcontroller.
Oh, yeah.
That was what we gave we gave out a NavX for the team that came the farthest. Goodrich for driving the farthest distance.
There a winner out of that event?
Yes, there was a winner. All the event stuff is posted on the Blue Alliance.
Okay.
So teams can go on there to see how the event happened. We don't have footage, I don't believe, unless teams decide to post that for us.
Mr. Spiece.
So
Yes, I do.
He paused because he was looking it up.
I paused because I had to unmute my phone because you guys are sick of hearing me talk. So what was really interesting was we had these backup robots that I talked about earlier, and the state champion backup robot won the event.
33.
Right? So, so they were the second robot picked, but it was team 3357.
Okay.
The Comets out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, Forest Hills High School District. One of the Martian teams, I believe it was 70.
Okay.
No, it was 494.
Was it 494 or 494? Okay. That's the Martians,
and then 33.
Right, out of Goodrich High School. And then you've got 33 was driven by freshmen from the Comets team.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And it was funny. It was cool. Like I brought the robot down, and the mechanism for climbing wasn't working. Wasn't functional. The robot was having a lot of problems, and that team really focused in and actually got that robot running right? And got that robot functioning, grabbing gears, and climbing by the end of the competition, which allowed them to win the event. So they picked the worst robot on the field at the end and got it all working, and then kind of there at the end, and it really kind of came out pretty nice. It was really neat to see all those kids kind of coming together and all those freshmen being able to get a chance. I'll never forget, there's the dad, the coach from the 5114 team, the Vikings, the dad that came out, he just came out with his son, and Scott, you knew him, right? And
yep,
I go, I looked at him and I said, "You're going to be the drive coach." He goes, "Oh no, we have people that do that." I'm like, no, you don't understand. You're going to be the drive coach. And he ended up being the drive coach, and he had the best time of his life. I think that was the first time he'd ever been to an event. Is that true, Scott?
I'm not sure on that. I know he's been with the robotics team for a while.
Is he? Okay.
Drive coach. That's the first time he did drive coach. So
it was pretty neat to see all these new people getting an opportunity that didn't before, and it was pretty inspiring. And then 70 had some kids from a school that's looking to start a team show up, right? And they were. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jacob. I keep cutting you off.
The team that we ended up having, Chippewa Hill School District, the last school in Mecosta County without a FRC team, to come to the event, and their students drove the 70 robot. And they had to take off a little early because of some other prior commitments they had. But the students really loved it, and I believe one of them was like almost shaking when he was done driving the robot for the first time. How excited!
So if they're listening to this, and Jacob, you got to get them to listen to this podcast, okay? Because this is the last year, because Snyder's last year in office, and here in Michigan as a governor, this is the time to start that team. If they're the last, school that doesn't.
They actually already registered as a team.
Nice. Accomplished. So, Victoria, we're going to end this segment, this discussion with you on this subject. So, have you heard back from the school? Have you heard back from Ferris State about whether they liked it, they didn't like it, they want to do it again next year?
No, we actually haven't heard back from the school yet, but week, you have?
Yes.
What the heck?
So I was on a couple of phone calls earlier today, with Nathan Leatherman, the professor from Ferris. When they were there, the provost of academic affairs and the dean of engineering technology, both really liked it, and they want to see what else we can do. But it's just more of trying to figure out what we can work around with the sports events in the complex, since we kind of have to share that space. We're not catering and having a whole first center.
Yeah, that took them a long time to build, though. That's not something they just, came out of the woodwork. That was an old, gymnasium or something that they retrofitted for that. So, but I'm glad that you're getting positive feedback. That's good stuff right there. So just keep it up and start planning now. I mean, the earlier you can plan, the better off you are, right?
We are actually already talking to the arena about possibly doing a schedule for next year already.
Cool. I'm glad to hear it.
Hey, Pete?
Yeah.
I'd like to give a little bit about our experience at this event.
Sure.
From Team Frigbots, just as a team, not as knowing anything about the event or anything. We drove quite a ways to get there. Of course, we walked in late, typical Frigbot style, and instantly it felt like home because we're getting razzed on and everything.
By
people smiling and shaking hands. Oh, definitely. He announced it over the PA. So we get there and we're getting everything ready, and people are coming over and saying, how you doing, blah blah blah. And one of our team leads looks down at the robot and his face turns totally white. I'm like, what? He goes, I forgot the bumpers. I'm like, what? He goes, I forgot the bumpers. So somebody comes over and I said, we forgot the bumpers. Oh, well, we can handle this. He sent a couple kids over to his school and brought back a full box of pool noodles. People were handing us rolls of tape. Somebody brought over a full package of zip ties, and it was gracious professionalism all over the place. We picked out yellow bumpers, of course, to match our robot. And I mentioned to one girl that we picked yellow to match our team colors. I heard her later telling other people that we picked the yellow bumper for our team colors, and it was kind of funny because everybody was just having such a great time. We put a kid out there as our driver. He's 8th grade, Noah Dutcher, and he had never driven the robot before in his life, and he actually got up into a picking position at the end of the event. So we were able to pick our own team based on his driving. So he had a incredible time, and people were going up to him and saying, he did a great job. So he's extremely encouraged. I just think that this event was such a positive force to any team that was there, that, there might have only been 12 teams, but there are 12 teams that are definitely going to do it again next year, just based on the experience of going to this event alone.
Can I do a quick shout out real quick?
Yes, you can.
I just want to say thanks to all the volunteers that came out Friday. We only had about 12 volunteers on Friday that built that field. And it was probably 100 degrees in that gym. We stayed in there for about 12 hours, minus the lunch break and the slight quick dinner break we had, which it really took a lot of time, effort, but we got it done, and I really wanted to thank those volunteers for helping out.
And good on them. I mean, just that's a lot of work to do. It's a lot of work to do. So
I actually got told by some of the volunteers that even though it was super hot, they still had a ton of fun, and they'd be more than happy to do it again next year.
There you go. Sign them up now. So let's change gears a little bit. So I don't know. I know Alex knows this, and Michelle, you can unmute yourself now. Thank you. But now we're going to talk a little bit about Relic Recovery. Now, Scott, do you know anything about Relic Recovery? And Andrew, do you know anything about Relic Recovery?
I am the lead mentor, of course, for our middle school team. So,
good.
Holy cow, this game looks intense.
Michelle, this is the first question to you. Ready? It's going to be a zinger.
Okay.
How are you preparing your robot for Relic Recovery? You're out of state, so we don't have to compete with you. So
I am out of state, so I get to have high schoolers on my team.
What?
Yes, we are grades 7 through 12.
Well, we have those as well, don't we? We're open to 7 through 12 in Michigan. Right?
No.
No.
This is why I'm not an FTC mentor. This is why I'm an FRC mentor.
You can always do both, like me.
So, Michelle, how is your prototyping going? Are you guys ready? What is the biggest aspect of the game that you guys are focused on?
Right now, the students decided that they needed to do a manipulator because they needed to figure out how to manipulate the Relic, which is the big yellow guy, for those of you who have seen the game video, and also the big blocks, which are called glyphs. So they're trying to make 2 different manipulators to both pick up the glyphs and the relics. And they have one of those prototypes done and are going to start on another one this week.
Nice. So you guys you're going at it. What about the jewels? What are you guys going to do in Auton?
So in Autonomous, we haven't touched on that a lot yet because the kids decided on their own. That's what they wanted to do. But one of the kids built a prototype to knock the jewel off while using a color sensor to read it. So he's going to work on the programming for that this week.
Nice. So, I mean, it sounds like you guys have different mini teams that are focused on end game, middle game, and Auton, which is
yes,
reverse engineering, like literally. How about you, Scott? How are you guys focused?
Well, since we are a middle school team in Michigan, I would say there's very little focus, but we're trying. The kids have actually taken out a couple different kits. One kid's using a Lego kit, another one's using a Vex kit to do some prototyping on different arms and whatnot. The color sensor for the jewel thing, I think we've got that figured out, but it is going to be a challenge for middle schoolers to program. It's going to be fun. We do have our high school team assisting the middle schoolers, and I think that's going to be a great thing because it's going to get the middle schoolers acclimated to the high school team. Our middle school goes up until 7th grade, so I'm dealing with 6th and 7th graders, and then our high school team starts at 8th grade.
Oh, okay. So does your FRC team then have 8th graders on it, or is it just 9th through 12th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, our driver at Ferris is an 8th grader.
Okay, cool. So what do you think, and we're going back to you, Michelle, what do you think the big thing's going to be this year? Like, you know, with the FRC game last year, it was shooting fuel, right? Putting gears on and
Yes.
climbing. So what do you think the big three are going to be with the Relic Recovery game?
I think this year, it's hard to say because I always predict it wrong every year. I did it with FRC last year, and I'm going to do it again this year. But I definitely think that relic is going to be key at the end. I think teams are going to underestimate the necessity of that relic, but I think it's going to come into play a lot because we saw that with the cat ball last year in Velocity Vortex for FTC. And I think this relic is going to be a key component to winning those matches and becoming a team that is pickable.
But to be, if my memory serves me correctly, because we talked about Relic Recovery quite a bit the last couple of weeks, you have to fill out the glyph or get the glyphs into the proper sequence before you can even grab that, correct?
Unless it's the last 30 seconds.
Unless
so you have two choices. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Didn't see. That's why it's like an ever-changing game. So it depends on who's looking at and analyzing it. So I thought it was that you had to fill out whatever the example is with the glyphs first, and then you can only grab the idol and put them down.
That is one option, but right now we're focusing on the last 30 seconds doing that because we think that's our first event's going to be in December, so we think that's the most attainable thing to do for December.
How hard is it going to be to land that idol upright?
We've been doing a little bit of testing by just dropping it with our hands, and it seems like it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world because that thing wants to bounce. Especially since it's going to be on a gym floor that we have no control over. It's not like it's on the foam tiles. It's on a random gym floor.
Is it bottom weighted? Is there a weight in the bottom of it?
There's not.
I don't have an example. I don't order them because I'm not running a team, so I don't have one in my hands to, see what it can do. And,
yeah, it's just plastic.
Right. And Scott, are you worried about the same thing about the bounce, the elasticity of the idol bouncing off the ground?
No. I'm not worried about it standing up at all. I'm worried about actually doing something in the game.
Everything else?
Holy cow. When I saw the reveal for this game, I'm like, this is what middle schoolers are supposed to be doing? Really? And the technical aspects. I mean, you're reading QR codes. You're placing things in a particular order. You're actually making the robot put things into slots, and on autonomous mode, you're trying to make this thing put it into a slot. It's crazy. So we're looking at the top things that we can do to get points, and that reach and that end goal of making that thing stand up is not at the top of our priority list right now.
Okay. All right. So we covered Relic Recovery. We covered Ferris in the event. Was there an official name for that event? Was it called RoboDay? Is that the official name?
Yes,
for
that's the official. That was the official name.
Okay, cool. So when you sign out, see, I got a doozy of a question when you guys sign out. You ready? So, and we'll start with Alex because I got them lined up. So we're going to go Alex, and then I'll call each one of you guys out. Tell us who you are, who you represent, how we can follow you on social media, and the answer to this question. What do you think Power Up's all about? That's a doozy. Okay? Alex, take us out. You're first.
Okay, I'm Alex Fera. I'm with First in Michigan as an FTA for FRC and the lead FTA for FTC, as well as with the Orange Alliance as the project manager for that project. I am also an alum of Team 503 Frog Force out in Novi. And Power Up. Obviously, we've seen the teaser, and I think it's going to have something to do with obviously with games. I don't know exactly what's going to be going on with that. I know that there's been some theories going around that it has to do with steps and stuff like that, since those were some of the hints that were in the teaser. But besides that, I think it's gonna have a really cool theme, I think. I don't know what other people think, but right now it's just majorly speculation on what's gonna happen. It could be a million different things from what I've seen on the teaser. Maybe the mop and bucket has something to do with the game.
Okay, Jacob, you're next.
So I was representing Ferris State RoboDay. I'm now also a mentor for FRC 6117, an alum of FRC 468. And for the new game, I was one of those people talking about it's probably going to have something to do with steps or stairs, based off a few different things. And also, I also think the field's going to be a little bit more simple compared to this year.
Michelle, you're next up.
I'm Michelle Lester. I am the first alum of FRC 2959 out of Coloma, Michigan. I'm currently a mentor of FRC 5484 in South Bend, Indiana, as well as the head coach for FTC 12014. As for Power Up, I'm not sure. I know it's going to be about video games, and I'm excited because my FRC team was famous for our vest around the state of Indiana last year. We did these fabulous handmade vests for every person on the team. So I'm looking forward to what creative thing we do this year for the costume they're going to make me, the drive coach, wear.
If you want to donate one of those old ones, I'll take one. I'll wear it on the podcast. I don't care. I have no shame.
We have a ton of them.
Scott, you're next.
Hey, this is Scott Stap, lead mentor of Team Frigbots. You can find us on Instagram at Frigbots. You can find us on Twitter. We're Shia Robots. You can find us on Facebook as Corunna Robotics Competition Team. I think she's leaving.
Who's leaving?
I don't know. I just heard somebody get out of a car.
No, that was so random. That's hilarious.
Goodbye.
We thought you were talking about someone you were sitting next to.
Oh, geez, no. So you can find us on social media. You can find us on Instagram at Frigbots. You can find us on Twitter as Shia Robots. You can find us on Facebook as Corunna Robotics Competition Team. Both the high school and the middle school, we're on there. You can also find us on the Robozone podcast a couple different times.
Oh, I love that.
And I love being on here, Pete. Thanks for inviting us. It's a great time every time. Power Up, I think you're going to have to make robots, put coins in slots, figure out how to push colored buttons, and grease back your hair, and spend all your quarters.
Very
and it's probably going to be one of those swimming water games.
No, don't start that. No, just don't start. Don't go water. Okay, don't start that because you'll get my hopes up. Andrew, you're up next.
All right, this is Andrew Spiece from Fenton Robotics, FRC Team 5114. You can find us at fentonrobotics.com. All of our social media is linked there. You can find me on Twitter. My handle is Andrew Spiece. Facebook, all of those. I think my handle is the same on all of them. Anyways, I'm also the regional manager for TEALS by Microsoft Philanthropies. Starting computer science in every high school, looking for schools interested in starting a rigorous computer science program in their school. And as for first Power Up, I think you're going to see Donkey Kongs inside airships throwing things at robots. And if the robots get hit 3 times, they get powered off on the field.
That is awesome. That's awesome. I hope it is that.
Right?
That's
and
awesome.
then if they run over certain things on the field, they get complete power-ups. I'm totally guessing right now, but that sounds like a really fun game.
It sounds like a fun game. And Victoria, finally.
All right, this is Victoria Funk. I am former alumni of 2137 Torque out of Oxford, Michigan. I am a current mentor of 5162, the Big Red Theory, here in Big Rapids. I'll give Peter all the social media stuff for Big Red Theory and myself because I can't remember them off the top of my head. And for the power-up game, I'm thinking 8-bit theme of Tetris, or as Andrew said, Donkey Kong.
I want to thank all you guys and ladies for coming out tonight, coming on the podcast. Once again, I'd like to thank all my interviewees for taking time out of their day, coming on the podcast, giving us their insight about RoboDay, about Relic Recovery, about the new FRC game that's coming up, which is Power Up. And we had a wild time. I don't know if you guys can tell by listening, but it was wild. If you have an event that your team is supporting, if your team is putting on a fundraiser, if you just want to come on and talk about Relic Recovery or Power Up or just theorize about upcoming games, send us a direct message on our social media, follow us, give us a review for the podcast on Apple iTunes, and we can only grow this channel, this podcast, larger with your help. We're really out here for you guys. We're out here for the first community. Reach out to us, get on the podcast, get interviewed. Let's just make it a better first day. Thank you for listening to the 33rd episode of the Robozone podcast. Once again, reach out to us. Have a great night. Thank you for listening.
The Robozone podcast is brought to you by AndyMark.com, your robot parts experts. The Robozone podcast is brought to you by Kettering University. It's a Kettering-built world. Thanks for listening to the Robozone podcast with your host, Pete Ekman. Find us online at robozonetv.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.